Hi there, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the CEO's Corner. I am Flora and I will be your host. Today's episode promises to be fun, educative and informative because today we are going to be having a short time with Crystal Chigbu, who is the CEO of the Irede Foundation. I know you're thinking, a foundation, yes, what else do they do at foundations? I can promise you that this is slightly unconventional, but it's not out of the ordinary. And so I would like you to stay with us through to the end so that you can get to enjoy all that we have in store for you today. Don't go anywhere. Crystal Chigbu is the Executive Director of the Irede Foundation. She is a Nigerian social entrepreneur and development consultant with a focus on children and teens living with disabilities. The Irede Foundation provides hope to children amputees through education, support groups, and empowerment. Crystal started her foundation after she gave birth to a daughter with congenital limb deformity and had to be amputated. She has been working to touch and mold lives of children via the foundation for over 9 years. She has been working with child amputees from ages 0 to 18 years, giving them prosthetic limbs. Crystal is a graduate of biochemistry from the University of Lagos and has a certificate in social sector management from Enterprise Development Center of Pan-African University. Aside that, Crystal leads a disability awareness walk called Out on a Limb, which is held in over 20 locations across the world. She has a 12 years professional experience in sales and marketing, working with a multinational consumer goods company, Procter & Gamble. She also works as market strategy or planning manager and baby channel leader at the company. But she decided to quit her job to fully focus on supporting children without limbs after she met a double amputee and helped her raise funds for prosthetics. Today, Crystal Chigbu has provided over 200 prosthetic limbs to over 150 children across 19 states in Nigeria, touching 150 families through the Irede Foundation. Crystal is a recipient of several awards in recognition of her humanity, such as Life Transformation Award from Wise Women Awards, the Ebony Life TV sponsored Sisterhood Award for Philanthropist of the Year, Niger Diamonds Award by Diamond Bank, to mention a few. Crystal, through the Irede Foundation, brings joy and purposeful living to all children without limbs, including their families. She also encourages children and their parents via support groups and helps integrate them back to the school system after the rehabilitation. We have the privilege of spending the next few minutes with Crystal Chigbu. All right, welcome back. And straight up, I'd like to introduce and welcome Crystal Chigbu on the show today. Hello, ma'am.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the show. It's really a privilege to have you here.
Same here.
All right, so how does it feel to be on the show today, on the CEO's program today, being a CEO?
Being a CEO feels good. I'm excited about being one, and especially because it gives you the opportunity to make impact. You work with people, diverse people,
right.
And so you're able to not just put your own decisions on the table, but you're actually trying to navigate through everyone's ideas, and somehow it becomes your own. So I feel that's exciting.
Yeah, I know they say with great titles come great responsibilities. Yeah. So I know it's a lot of work for you.
Well, it can be.
Well, you have people to help, so
exactly.
Well, that's great. That's great. So before I go on, I'd like to let you know that this interview is going to be in 2 segments. Okay. Yeah, first we're going to have a chat about the Irede Foundation, and then we are going to have a chat about you. Right. Okay. So kicking off with the chat about the Irede Foundation, my first question for you is, I see that the Irede Foundation started because of the situation surrounding your daughter's birth, Beulah. Very beautiful. I've seen her. So how did you feel when you found out about the situation and the decision that you had to make?
When I found out that Beulah had a congenital limb deformity, and especially knowing that we would have to amputate the leg, I was devastated. And honestly, I'm a crybaby, so I cried and cried and cried, absolutely cried for 2 years.
Wow.
Because it took 2 years and about 3 months to really make up our minds to go on ahead and do the amputation, even though we knew from when she was about 6 days old that we needed to amputate the leg in order for her to be able to live a full life. So really that was devastating. Making the decision to go on ahead with the amputation wasn't easy. And like I said, it took us 2 years and 3 months. So pretty much after when she was 6 days old, we knew that we needed to do the amputation. Right. But again, we'll say, okay, we'll go on ahead with it. Or what if you make up your mind now and then some technology comes later and then you now have to, you know, kind of realize you've done the wrong thing. So pretty much we waited. In that waiting, doing research, believing, hoping, and just really doing a lot of things to ensure that we made the right decision. But again, time and time again, when I think about it and try to remember how it was really devastating.
That must have been so. Well, I mean, as a mother, I can't. I'm not a mother yet, but I can't imagine how that felt for you. Wow.
Painful. Yeah.
And devastating, really like you said. Yes. And so that led to, you know, starting the Irede Foundation, right?
Yes, it did. It led to, I think pretty much when you think Irede, it wasn't even about, you know, starting a foundation. It was more creating a hub for other parents that have children with similar issues to be able to connect and really share experiences and really get information, because the process of getting Beulah's limb amputated took a bit, because we had limited information. Very few people knew what to do. No one was really sharing experience on, you know, what they had gone through, and so, you know, kind of make it easy for you to take that same decision. So we had to wait. So the hub was more to allow, you know, like a support, peer support really of parents, where we could share experiences and what you did, you know, at your own time, and pretty much it metamorphosed into Irede Foundation.
That's beautiful. And so how's that journey been, you know, for Irede Foundation?
I think it's been 10 years, and I would say it's been a very rewarding journey. Wow. Because it's been a journey of impact. When you think of the smiles, not just on the faces of the children, but their parents, the community, and even we that work at the foundation, I say we the staff. So it's really rewarding. It's been 10 years of impact. It's been 10 years of smiles, of hopes, of joys, of, you know, laughter, really, because when you think of it, you have a situation that should make you sad, and then all of a sudden you're given that opportunity to get life out of it, hope, and, you know, smiles. So pretty much, I would say it's been rewarding.
Oh, that's really great to know that you are doing something impactful, something purposeful, giving these children a purposeful life. It's really rewarding, like you said. Now, I see that the foundation provides prosthetics for children between ages 0 to 18.
Absolutely.
Right. So why did the foundation decide to focus on children? You know, we have adult amputees, you know, so why children?
We made a decision for child amputees. Again, you can say, you know, the sentiment of it started with my daughter. But also when you look at artificial limbs or prosthetic limbs as they are not cheap. Yes. So, and when it comes to children, you need to continue to change those limbs till they get to the age where they're no longer growing as much. So when you think of a 2-year-old, for instance, that is an amputee and needs to use a prosthetic limb, that child will probably use about 16 prosthetic limbs till they become, you know, full adults. And so it's really capital intensive, and it's not something that a parent can take on their own and really get to do it. So for us, we really wanted to support that process. We didn't want an opportunity for a child to use the limb, and then when you get older, you're not able to use the limb. So we took on working with children, and so that we are a part of their life stages. I think that's the first thing. The second thing for us also, and why we thought about children, is we wanted to catch them young, and help them understand their possibilities in life. Because when you think of a disability, and you know, when you're a person with disability or a parent of a child with disability, you realize that the society, as it were, keeps you at a disadvantage. So very early, we wanted to let the children know that they were champions and they had something in them that would help them get, to live a full life. And so it's easier when you catch someone young and you work with that person and you're part of the molding process of that child, really. So that's why we work with children in giving prosthetic limbs. However, we work with young adults also, where, in their formative years, help them to ensure that, they are job ready, work ready, and they can go on to really be leaders in whatever sphere they choose to be.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I mean, at this point, that's all I can say, because thinking about it, it is not an easy process, and it's not an easy task to carry on. And so, yeah, that's amazing. You said earlier that getting prosthetics for these children is not easy. It's not easy, and it's not cheap. So how do you get them? How do you produce them? Do you import them? How do you get this prosthetics?
Pretty much, we don't manufacture locally in Nigeria, so we have to import the prostheses. The components are brought in, and then they are customized for the children here in Nigeria. So pretty much, when you think of how are we going all about that, it's really fundraising to ensure that we're able to give back the prostheses that we need to do for these children. We also do, I won't say manufacturing here at our lab, because we have a laboratory, a mini laboratory, where we do the assembling of the components that we brought in for the children.
Wow. So how long have you had the lab? Have you had it since inception, or you just came in along the way?
The lab came in as, we journeyed through. Like I said, we're 10 years. We first put in a pilot lab about 3 years ago, where we tried to, bring in the components ourselves as an organization, try to see how we're going to work that out, and try to see what change we can make happen. Then sometimes last year we did a revamp of the laboratory. So it's a lot bigger with support of some organizations. It's a lot bigger. It's a lot, it can really give you a standard prosthetic limb from start to finish once you have the components.
Wow, that's great. And so how do you find these children? I know children are everywhere. It's not so easy to say, oh, there's a child there or there's a child there.
Absolutely. So pretty much we have a program that we call the Refer a Child campaign. We're lucky to be in that era where technology is, one of the, I would say, gifts that we've been given. So pretty much through the Refer a Child campaign, people within communities that see different children are able to refer to the foundation. I mean, the interesting thing is in the last 1 month, we've gotten over 450 referrals just by, people sending messages of a picture that we put out and just saying, you can refer to this foundation. So that's the first thing through the campaign. We also have our hospital program that we go to hospitals and we do education. And through the education that we do in those hospitals, we are also able to reach out and people know how to reach us.
All right, now, so far up until now, how many prosthetics have you given out to children, and to how many children?
So we've given out over 250 limbs so far to children, and we've given to over 160 children. And so you might be thinking in your head, how come you've given, over 250 and then you have about 160? Because we have some children that are double amputees. We have some that, don't have 3 limbs, maybe 2 legs are off and 1 hand. So we really, as much as we celebrate, the number of children that we work with, we celebrate the number of limbs that we've given, especially because we support the children from when they are 0, whatever age we take them until they are 18. So if you think of a child that, started getting limbs from us when was age 2, the child will continue to get limbs up until the child is 18. And so it's really exciting. And this year alone, we're looking to do, about 100+ limbs. Oh,
wow. I mean, that's great. Giving out over 250, and this year looking to give out over 100.
Yeah.
I mean, those children are going to be so excited, giving life to them, for children that probably think they don't have hope, they don't know how to go on, and all of that. Talking about that, for families that have children with disabilities, how does the foundation help these families, these parents now, to accept their children? And how does the foundation help these children to deal with their disabilities?
So we have a couple of programs that we do to address that. The first thing that we do when we realize that, you know, a child has been amputated and a parent is involved is we have counseling programs or psychosocial support for the parents, because we know, especially because we're dealing with children, that these children cannot manage themselves alone. So they need their parents to give support to them. So pretty much we have the programs that are addressed, you know, solely to parents to help them know how to cope. We have also partnered with other organizations on mental health awareness and all of the things that as a parent you will be going through when you have a child with disability, especially an amputation. Then we have a support group. So like I said, technology has been so good. So through WhatsApp, we're able to connect every day to talk about pending issues, but on a monthly basis have targeted programs that also help strengthen the parents to be able to reach out to their children. And one of those things is acceptance, help with accessibility and all of that. And then about last year, we actually launched our comic books that we call the Irideans. And the Irideans basically showcase children with disabilities as superheroes. And so that helps to get into schools for advocacy and also even teach parents. So both the parents that have the children with disabilities and those that do not have, you know, children with disabilities. So they have information that, you know, and they have the awareness. And so that with that, we can reduce societal stigmatization, because when you already know, there's a way you respond versus when you do not know.
Exactly. Because I was going to ask a question on, you know, as Nigerians, we have this religious belief when it comes to children with people with disabilities, especially children. So, you know, how does the foundation now help them? What do you think about, you know, that belief that children with disabilities should be, you know, put aside, they're not normal children and all of that? What do you think about that take?
Obviously, you know that my take is that's blanderdash. Right. Disability, like I say, consistently is a thing of the mind. And so one of the works that we do at the foundation is ensuring advocacy and creating awareness and sensitization with respect to that. One of the things that I believe that this will help us to do is also get the voice out there and people knowing that people with disability, having a disability is not a disease in itself. So we continue to create awareness. And the tool also helps us to do that. We're also working in partnership with government to see how we can, you know, further advocate for people to get to know. I think it's more in the awareness. As people get aware, the discrimination continue to reduce. So we continue to do awareness through all of our programs, TV, social media, radio, just to make sure that people get to know. And the more people know, and we create that awareness, the less we have of discrimination and stigmatization.
Right, that's true. And that's a lot of programs, you know, awareness programs, and all of sensitization and all of that. Now, you said earlier that, you know, this year you're looking to give out over 100 limbs to children. What other long-term goals does the Irede Foundation have?
I think, you know, we've talked about more limbs, so we want to give more limbs. In the next 5 years, we want to say I'll give it over 1,000 limbs in the next 5 years. In the next 5 years also, I've talked to you about the comics, the Irideans. We want to see how to animate that and make it visual so that, you know, more people know how to respond, and that way we can reduce the stigmatization. But also, one of the key things is to drive, you know, SDG 10, which is inequalities, you know, reducing inequalities. And when you think of that, you think of employment of persons with disabilities, you think of accessibility to buildings, accessibility to information. So we're going to be driving that, you know, in partnership with other organizations and the government, because we believe that with that we will reduce you know, stigmatization and inequalities, and that way we'll be achieving the SDGs, and then we'll have a better place. And then finally, our focus is on education of our champions. So if you think of SDG 4, which basically talks about quality and inclusive education, currently in Nigeria we don't have a lot of mainstream schools that accommodates children with disabilities and those without disabilities. So it's to continue to drive that and see how to put that in the forefront and ensure that, we have more, we reduce out of school for children with disabilities actually in Nigeria.
Oh, these are great long-term goals, and we are really expecting to see these things happen. Yes. Now, you mentioned earlier also that you get support from via fundraising rather, and refer a child that campaign that you do. In what other ways rather can you get support for the foundation?
I think apart from funds, someone giving funds, you can volunteer.
Okay.
Because today we don't have a lot of hands to do the work that we do. And I usually try to tell people that when you look at a non-profit, you should look at it just like a for-profit organization where you need someone in purchasing across all departments and all of that. So you can volunteer your time. The second thing also is we need organizations to partner with us as interning organizations. And how do I mean? We have persons with disabilities that have have the right skills and education to be able to work in organizations. So we're needing organizations where they can go to, where they can go and work. So first, where they intern, and if you see that they have the right skills, also, be able to keep them in jobs. So these are some of the ways that we can get support today for the work that we do. And like I said, we have partners that do not give us money literally. When you think of power, we need power, the right solar, and you can partner to just make those things available. Right. So those are some of the ways that I think today, people can
get
really
support,
partner with us.
All right, so that's that about the first segment. Now, moving on to the second segment that I call Moments of Truth, I'll be asking you a couple of questions.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we would appreciate that you'd be honest to answer these questions. All right, so my first question is that I see that you have 12 years of experience, professional experience working as a social entrepreneur and development consultant, right? And you're also the CEO of the Irede Foundation, right? So if you were not in this career path, what other career path would you have chosen?
I think I'll choose two careers. Okay. The first one would be sell. I love selling. So I'll sell anything that I believe in. The second one would be I'd like to be a driver. Be a Formula 1 driver. Driver?
Yeah. That's different and unconventional. Who wants to be a driver?
I love driving.
Oh, okay. Well, you heard it from her. She said she loves driving, which is, not something I would say, but okay, that's really good to know. My second question is, what is one thing that you think you would do differently from what's happening? What is the norm? What is that one thing that you think, well, this is unconventional, I'd like to try this?
So is this something for fun or something for work?
Just, generally about life, about, whatever aspect of life.
Maybe I'd love to rest more.
Okay.
They say that I'm a workaholic, so maybe I would love to rest more.
Yeah, the body needs to rest.
A bit more.
Okay. Taking vacations and all of that, right?
I really love vacations today, but unfortunately I get on vacation and still work. So just rest. Just not work. Okay.
All right. That is noted. And just in case anyone would like to take you on vacation, I think they can.
Yes, I'm sorry. I would like to go to Greece.
Okay. All right. My next question is, would you consider yourself a risk taker?
Absolutely. Yes, I think. Yes, I'll give myself 110% risk taker. Yeah. High risk taker.
Well, I would say that, I don't know how it works here and, with decisions you make, but with that of Biola, I would say you are a risk taker.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay, next question. As a CEO, do you have other CEOs that you look up to, say, as models or something?
Absolutely. There are a couple. And it's interesting because I look at different people for different things. Okay. So yes, within my sphere of work, there are CEOs that I look up to and really wish to be like. And also outside of the non-profit space, yes, there are.
Yeah. Okay. Well, finally, yes. what advice would you like to give to people who would like to have their own foundation, who would like to help people, but probably don't have the right support yet, or they're just still in the thinking process?
I think the first thing I'm going to tell you is you don't need a title to make impact.
Right.
So a lot of times people feel like if I found an organization, if I do that, then I'm going to be able to make impact. I think the first thing that I'm going to tell you is just that place where you are at and what you're currently doing. You're probably in a job, you're probably a sit-at-home mom, you're probably whatever. You don't need a title. All you just need to do is do what you need to do. I think that's the first thing. Number two, anybody that knows me knows that I'm crazy passionate about anything that I want to do. So have that crazy passion, have the energy, push whatever it is, because before you know it, that's really what drives the work that you do. And then finally, if you're yet to start and you're about to start, have it at the back of your mind that you want to put in place the right structure to help your organization when you have it.
Yeah.
And I think that you will do well.
That's cool. All right. You've heard it all from the CEO of Irede Foundation, and I would like you to take this advice to mind, because the owner has spoken, right? Okay, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode of the CEO's Corner. It's really a privilege to have you on the show, like I said earlier. Thank you so much. Me personally, I've learned that to do something like this, to be a CEO, to have a foundation, you have to have the drive, the support, and the spirit. And so I would advise also that if you would like to be in that career path, or in any career path actually, you need that drive and you need the support. So go for it. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, this is all that we have for you on today's episode of the CEO's Corner. Thank you for staying with us through to the end. Like I said earlier, that it was going to be informative and educative. I hope that you've learned one or two things, because I have. But do not forget to join us on the next episode of the CEO's Corner. Do not also forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification button so that you can get notified when we have fresh content for you on episodes of CEO's Corner. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, I remain your host, Flora. Bye.